Hello, Year 9. In yesterday's lesson, I asked you to explain the apparent feeling of weightlessness that astronauts seem to feel when they are in orbit around the Earth. And quite a few of you got back to me and answered this, but a few correctly, which is good, but still seems to be like a couple of misconceptions here. So I'm just going to done a second follow-up video to expand on the explanation I gave you in yesterday's lesson. So you looked at the video of the astronauts in space. Okay, and this is what it looks like. So when astronauts are in any space station or the old space shuttles that used to orbit the Earth, and they float around, and all objects that aren't secured down float around as well, as though they are in zero gravity, as though they are weightless. But like I said in one of the videos, this is not the truth. There is gravity in space. Okay, if there was no gravity in space, then the moon would not orbit the Earth, and the Earth would not orbit the sun. So there is definitely gravity there. So why do they appear as though they are in zero gravity? Right, like I said, it's the answer is something called freefall. The astronauts and their space station are in freefall. Now here's the little analogy I gave you. Imagine you're in a lift, or imagine there's a lift going up and the cables break. Now, the lift and anybody in that lift will fall to Earth at the same rate. They will actually accelerate because the lift and the man are both feeling a force towards the ground, so they will both accelerate towards the ground. Okay? And they will appear weightless, or they will experience the sensation of being weightless. They'll be floating around inside the lift until they obviously hit the ground. Now, it's exactly the same thing when something's in orbit. So if we're like right out away from the Earth's atmosphere, now if the same lift and the man in it will fall into Earth, okay, there's going to be a force on the man, and therefore there's going to be a force on the man and the lift, so the man and the lift are both going to accelerate towards the Earth. So eventually, they're going to go and hit the Earth. Right, the big difference is when a satellite is in orbit, okay, the satellite, we'll draw the astronaut as well, there you go, there he is, floating around. The astronaut and the satellite are both feeling a force towards the ground. They're both accelerating towards the Earth. However, the big difference is they are also at the same time moving very fast in that direction. Okay, now that stops them getting any closer. In fact, if they're moving at just the right speed, if the speed, the sideways velocity that they're moving at is just right, then they'll move in a perfect circle. Okay, just like the Newton's thought experiment that I showed you in the last lesson. So the same satellite with the same man or woman, okay, the same astronauts, they're going to be, there they are, there's the astronauts. Okay, these astronauts, wherever they are, they're going to be feeling a force towards the center of the Earth. Wherever they are, that force is always towards the center of the Earth. The Earth is pulling them towards it, right? But the big difference is they're moving sideways very fast. They're moving sideways very fast. Okay. And the resultant is that they move in a perfect circle. Okay, and it's all because, like I said, it's all because the speed is just right. If this speed was lower, if this satellite or if this space station slowed down, for example, if it slowed down, then it would spiral in towards Earth, wouldn't it? Or if it sped up, it would go to a higher orbit. But because this speed is just right, then the space station or satellite, whatever it is, moves in a perfect circle. But all the time, the force is towards Earth. So all the time, it's accelerating towards the Earth, but it never gets any closer. It just moves in a perfect circle. So the answer to the question is why do astronauts feel a sensation of weightlessness? Is because they are in free fall. They're accelerating towards Earth at the same rate that the space station is. Well, I hope that cleared up a few misconceptions there. Any questions? Please ask. Please post on the stream. If anything's still a bit unclear, but I'll just finish with this little photo. Now, this idea of free fall is actually part of astronauts training. Okay, astronauts go through months, years and years and years of training on Earth before they actually go into orbit in space. And part of the training is preparing them for this feeling of weightlessness. And they actually do it in the Earth's atmosphere. They do it on a plane. NASA has special plane where they've taken out all the seats, they've taken out all the floors inside, and they've cushioned it like this. And what they do, the aircraft goes up really high, and then it basically dives down. It then starts to dip, and the plane goes down. Okay, at a very steep angle, and it goes down at a steep angle fast enough, just fast enough that the astronauts start to float around. They're in free fall. And hey presto, it's exactly the same sensation as when they are in the space station. So there you have it. It's all about free fall. Okay. That's what causes that. Right, thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Any questions, any comments, please post on the stream, and I'll see you next week.